Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish.
So attitude, we've been talking about this all week and how to create it and, things that we need to look at when it comes to attitude, because our attitudes are something, it's part of our personal growth. It's part of our whole level of experience, really, for having a really vibrant life. Without a good attitude, without an attitude that's a little bit can-do, and I know that sounds just a little, shucks, let's just put on a happy face. It's not quite that bad, I promise you. But I will tell you this, that our attitude is everything, because it underpins, undergirds, foundationally supports a vibrant life. You can't have a stinky attitude and have a vibrant life at the same time. That's our goal. Right? That's our goal. And not to get to vibrancy, but to live vibrantly on the daily. That's what we want. And we want that because this is why we get off the carousel of crazy and quit spending all of our time and our focus on dieting and stupid exercise and things that are just part of the whole diet culture. We've checked out of that. We have checked out of that. There is a whole bunch of body positivity, I hope, that's going on in your life. It's going on in mine. And we are now all about, we measure, we look at things. And I hope you're going to be a part of the sprint on Monday, the webinar, to explain why all of this works together. And if we take these principles and launch them into our lives, boy, oh boy, do they work. And boy, oh boy, do they just keep us now focused on some other fun things in our lives. There are other things about our lives than just being on a bloody diet, just being worried about the pair of jeans that we're going to get into, right? I am so over it. I had an interesting, I'm in a couple of Facebook groups from Peloton. I've told you about that. And just some of the stupid stuff that I see, that I can tell these women are wrapped up in the carousel of crazy. And the way we define the carousel of crazy is the the diet culture, because you get on there, you go up and down with different diets, you have success, and then you get off that diet, and then it's done, and then it's time to find another guru, another diet book, another whatever, and you have success, and then you get off of it, and then you find another one, and it's all over the place. And as a result, most women that I know have sizes, 4 different sizes of jeans in their closet, me included. What's that about? That is a product of the diet culture right there. And it's time for us to accept and love ourselves right where we are right now. And it's time for us to see that. That's part of a good attitude, by the way, is not having this attitude toward ourselves that's detrimental and wrong. Big, huge thing. And our ability to choose the meaning behind the circumstances that are in our lives helps us create an attitude depending on what we see, on how we look at things. So if we see ourselves and look in the mirror, and I'm using this whole thing because we have the sprint coming up on Monday, and I'm going to use this whole thing about how we look at ourselves, how we see ourselves, the lens that we see ourselves, and how we respond in kind, because our attitudes can sink right down to the bottom of the ocean, right? What about instead, if we start loving ourselves the way we are, every single curve, every single roll, every single pound of us? What if we did that instead? What if we started there and just made a decision that, we want to fuel our lives and stop worrying about the jeans? What if our attitude was that? What if our attitude was one of, I want my life to be vibrant. I want my life to be glowing and wonderful and delicious. How about that? Huh? Lucy said, I'm liking myself. I love that, Lucy. This is our growth spiritually, by the way. Did you know that? It all connects in. because you have to remember who is seeing you. You're the apple of his eye. Do you think he says, oh, no, not you, because you're not in the pair size 6 jeans? You are not the apple of my eye. Do you think that's what it is? It's not. It's not. And it's our growth spiritually that defines our beautiful self. You know your beautiful self. It's all wrapped up in your soul, in your intuition, into your higher self, into your knowing, your empathy, the love and the care, the deep things that is who you are in this bodysuit of yours, right? Think about it. Think about it. Nietzsche said, to live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. And is there a single soul on this planet who hasn't suffered? My goal and my mission is to help women stop suffering over how big their butts are, right? I'm so over that. I am so over all of this. I just want to get skinny. And if I hear the word skinny again, I'm going to go smack someone. I don't want to hear any of that, And now we all have to see our way through the suffering and figure it all out. And when I see somebody who's suffering because of their weight, there's a way out of that. We can find ourselves through if only we deploy an attitude that says it will. And understand that while suffering may endureth for a night, joy cometh in the morning. Ever hear that one? How about that one? What if we looked at ourselves that way? Now, and I don't mean to say that this is the sum total of everyone's suffering. There are people who are literally suffering right now, really having a hard time with whatever's going on in their lives. And that is legitimate. I'm never going to brush it off and say that it's not legitimate. Of course it is. But we all stumble. We all have some kind of hardship. We've all been through difficulties and heartache and pain and suffering and good grief. Haven't we? Hasn't everyone? Can we just say that there has been a sisterhood of deep suffering of some kind of magnitude? And it's not a one-upsmanship. Well, your suffering versus my suffering. Yours is different and mine's different. We can't have that kind of a thing. We can't say, well, my suffering's a whole lot worse than yours because blah, blah, blah. We can't do that. Or we can, but why would we do that? Why would we not instead understand that everyone suffers? And because everyone suffers, it is a sisterhood, and it is a part and parcel of what we have to live with. But the right attitude and knowing that hard times will pass, because they always do, will help. And you keep getting up, This is the time to rise up. This is the time to find a way. If you want to know something else, this is how you get gritty and not quitty, right? So we can surrender to suffering or surrender our suffering to the one who loves us, to the one who put us here in the first place. Do you not think for a minute that he doesn't see the suffering, that he doesn't love you through it? And I think when we start to understand that, then we can get through it a whole lot easier. So I know it sounds kind of crazy. Like, how do you possibly get through suffering, right? How do you possibly have a good attitude, get through suffering at the same time? Well, I'm going to give you 10 things, 10 that will help, because you're not alone in your suffering, by the way. You're not. There is a sisterhood of sufferers around. We are either post-suffering, or there's suffering coming in our future, or we're in the midst of it, because that's part of that's part of life. Again, I've never met anyone who hasn't suffered in some way or another. And it's just the choice of making your attitude bloom into and understand that you have that choice to do so. And it makes a big time difference. And I will also say this about suffering, that while we suffer, we don't have to drag suffering with us like it's a ball and chain on our foot. We can put the suffering away for a minute. We don't have to drag it out all the time, right? Anyway, so 10 things. How can you possibly have a good attitude in the midst of suffering? There's 10 ways. The first one is gratitude. You knew I was going to say that, right? I cannot underscore that enough. I cannot tell you how important this is. Suffering is a thing, definitely, but gratitude kind of puts it back into the box for a minute. Gratitude helps us to see things, even if it's just a hot shower. Gratitude helps us to see things from a different perspective. Gratitude, and the studies show this, the studies show us that when we have gratitude for even the smallest things, that everything shifts. We start to see things differently. Perspective is different. Love for others is different. Patience, kindness, empathy, all from gratitude, right? Lucy knows, we talked about this, Lucy, haven't we? You know, isolation, when we choose to isolate as opposed to being out with people, you know, we find ourselves going in a very miserable way, but we find ourselves also illuminated and lit up by gratitude. Lucy knows this personally. She's lived it. And look at her. She's here, which I think is so important. See, Kathy says, yes, even in this season of suffering for me, I focus on gratitude. And I bet it's made a big difference. And I will tell you this too. The studies show that people who are suffering with, literal physical pain, when they're focused on gratitude, the pain is less. There's so much to this. So gratitude is number one. And if you don't have a gratitude journal, if you're not writing down, if you have a Take Back Your Life journal, all the better. Take Back Your Life journal, we encourage you to write down 3 things every single day, because it shifts your focus every single day. Makes all the difference in the world. Number 2 is a little self-care treat that you can do for yourself daily. It could be something as simple as buffing your nails or taking a bath or putting a mask on your face or whatever it is. Whatever it is, you just do that little thing, write it down and watch how, when you've written it down and then you've done it, how much different it makes you, how much difference it makes for you. It's huge. It will blow things up. It's amazing, because that little self-care is saying that I count, I'm loved, and I'm just going to do this one little thing just to love my little self up. It makes a difference. And it piles on in a different way. So every single day, a little something. You can figure that out. Number 3, have a strong morning ritual. Now, we teach about rituals. We've taken the term routine, which that's what Fly Lady taught us, right? And not just the routine for what you do with your house, but the routine for what you do for yourself. And our ritual transforms our lives. And when you set up a morning like that, then you have put together, first of all, that you've calmed and you've meditated. You've written gratitudes in your journal. You've written out your goals for yourself. Everything shifts because you've got this strong morning ritual. It keeps you on target. It keeps you on task. It keeps your focus in the correct place. It's incredible what happens with a strong daily morning routine and ritual. And I say this because it's a setup for your day. It's a setup for your day. I get my morning ritual done every single day, but I'm hit and miss sometimes in the evening. And that's okay, because when I'm doing my morning, I just check off what I did the night before. But I know that if I'm in there every morning, I have on top of mind my I am goals. Top of mind. I have on top of mind the gratitude that I just wrote about. I have on top of mind my everything that I'm working toward. And isn't that what you want? That lights up the whole day. It helps to have us see things in a whole different way. We start seeing things in a different way. We start shifting with the attitude. 4 is stay away. We talked about this, from the negative news, negative social media. Don't get drawn into these trolly talking things, memes and all of that. Everything is, everything seems to be controversial these days. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone has a belly button, for heaven's sakes. Just leave it alone. You can walk away. You can. You do not have to comment on it. You do not have to even if they tick you off, keep scrolling. No need to stay there, because what does that do? That now shifts your focus. What does that put you on? This whole negative thing and defending and this, that, and the other. It's just nonsense. Why would we want to do that? I don't get that. Number 5. This is a good one. Laugh. I mean, laugh, 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 laugh. This is why I only watch funny movies. You know why I only watch funny movies? I don't want to watch something depressing. I don't want to watch something that's terrible. I don't want to watch something that's violent and what have you. It shakes me up. I'm tender that way. I'm not afraid to admit it. And I'm very adamant about it. No, I will not. And even some of these action thrillers, can't do them. A scary movie, never. But listen, when you laugh, you release endorphins. When you laugh, you get a good dose of dopamine and you feel good, don't you? Something funny. And what is it? It just puts you in a good mood. And yeah, mood and attitude they pretty much go hand in hand. It really helps. That's my number 5. Strong number 5. I love a good laugh. Number 6, take a break. Take a break from your suffering. If you are one of those who are just rolling around constantly in your suffering, take a break from it. Just say, I'm taking a mental I'm going to take an emotional lap. You know, that's what they say all the time in Peloton. Like, go take an emotional lap. If this is hard, just go take a lap and then get back into it. Well, there you go. This is the same kind of a thing. Take a break from it. Just say, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to go see a movie, have lunch with a friend or whatever. I'm going to leave my suffering at home. Because suffering doesn't necessarily mean you have to be suffering 24 hours a day. Take a break. Number 7, and I mean this with all of my heart, meditate, don't medicate. You know how many women I have spoken to that are on some kind of mood-altering medication? Not that it isn't necessary for some folks, but is it necessarily all the time? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that's the first thing we should default to. I think we should meditate before we start medicating, right? And if you don't believe me, go take a deep dive and read what meditation does. Read how it calms you down, how it centers you, how it pulls you in to who you are. Because I will tell you, I have been on antidepressants before, and it made me feel numb and weird. I couldn't connect to anything. Couldn't feel good or feel bad. I just felt kind of there, like I was just in existence. And that's not the way that's not how we're built. If we want to get out of the suffering, we need to have a practice of meditation every single flipping day, right? Every day. Centering, calming. Everything about it will bring you back to a place. It doesn't eliminate suffering. Nothing will eliminate suffering. Nothing does, except that the circumstances changing. But meditation helps you to get back to center and to calm and to keep you in a place of being able to cope. Boom, just like that. Number 8 is music. I will tell you, turn on some fun music. Turn on music that you love, especially music that'll make you groove your thing. Shake your groove thing and get it on, right? Dance, move, do something, and allow the music to take you away. Allow it to carry you away. Allow it to be your guide for just a small period of time. It'll make a big difference. Number 9 is allow for the crappy days. There are going to be days where you're just down. I have been in the place where I have literally had my face on the floor, nose to nose with shag carpet, of all things. Gross, right? But this is the little condo that I lived in a long, long time ago. And it was what those days of rug eating repentance is what I want to call it. Because I had, some real crappy things that happened in my life, some really awful things. And some of it I had control over and it was my fault. Some of it wasn't. But I've been in that place and I just suffered and I just allowed for it and I let the waves come. I felt them and experienced them. For a day, I gave myself a day to do it. A day. Allowed for it. But I made up my mind that the next day that wasn't going to be the case. And when it got so overwhelming, that is when I went on an antidepressant because it was overwhelming. And I was I think I've shared this with you. I was very specific about it. And I said, okay, told the doctor, this is what happened in my life. I'm really having a bad time. I want 3 months. I believe it was 3 months, 12 weeks or 8 weeks, something like that, of medication. That's all I want. And I was very specific about which one, because I didn't also want to take a medication that was also going to make me gain weight, because that's double depressing. Some of them do, by the way, 10 to 20 pounds. Very normal side effect. That to me is just no. And you know what? Because I gave myself a time schedule for this, I allowed for the crap. I was allowing for the crappy time, and I was allowing myself to take a break from it a little bit. And then at the end of it, teaching myself at the same time some coping skills, doing other things, exercising, all these things that I'm telling you about. And it made a big, big difference. It made a big difference. And it also made me understand that I could, experience bad feelings without having to wallow in them, without having to roll around in them and just live in them. We all do. And it's just part of the life equation, isn't it? But it doesn't mean we have to live there. And number 10 is there's nature, there's art, and there is that friend, those friends of yours who just light you up. We all have friends like that. Thank God, right? We all have friends like that. Call that friend. Be with that friend. Go have lunch or something with that friend. Get out in nature. Take a walk and just look at the beauty that's around you. I mean, I'm doing it right now. I'm looking at the beauty that's around me, just looking outside my window right now. It's so gorgeous, so beautiful. And when you allow the gratitude to come with that, that's when all the good stuff starts to flow. And then there's art. I have Lucy, speaking of art, I've got Lucy's art in my office, and I get to see that beautiful, these beautiful mosaic, beautiful colored glass with the sunshine coming in. Come on. That is just incredible and beautiful. How can you not love that, right? So those are the 10 things that I have for you, because you know what? Here's the thing. You can have the best attitude in the world and then all of a sudden get bowled over with something tragic or horrible happening in your life or out of your control. That doesn't mean that you have to live there. There are ways of coping with them, with those kind of things. And I just want you to remember that, because this is the thing that's so important and so incredibly needle moving, I believe, is that when we can separate this stuff out and we can say, this is crappy, but here is what I'm choosing to do anyway, we can elevate and get beyond all of it. It's true, we can. We have the ability to do it, and these are the tools. What do you think? Yeah? Pinkies up? Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.